If you remember, a few videos back, I did this experiment using walnut ink, and today I'm going to try another experiment. Here's a little stitch doodle I did, and here are the fabric markers that I purchased for this experiment. I bought as many colors as I could. Now I'm going to see what I have to work with here. Ooh. That is not what the cap says it is. Good thing I'm testing these. This is the other end of the same marker. I have quite a few pinks, and I'm hoping one of them will work out for a flesh tone. I'd say that's a little salmony. I don't know if salmony is a word, but definitely not what I would consider a flesh tone. A little closer. Whoa. Yeah, that one's... Well, this is fun, huh? That one matches the cap, but it's a little off the charts. Vibrant orange. Fluorescent. These markers were not very expensive, and so that's maybe part of why the colors don't match. This is a different brand, but it's also for fabric. I'm kind of feeling like, since these markers are not exactly conducive to realistic colors, maybe it would be worth a try to do some outrageous colors, like, you know, purple skin and lime green hair, something like that. Or maybe the markers are just used for other motifs, like flowers or fish, not faces. Here you can see the difference, quite a difference. I am going to try something else. I am going to try, I'm going to sew a new one. And this time I'm actually going to draw it out with a one-liner, which is a drawing where you don't pick the pen up off the page, or in this case, up off the fabric. And then I should be able to follow the stitch line and create a face. Now, I haven't done this before, and I haven't done much free motion quilting, so it's a good thing it's an experiment. Maybe someday I'll have two cameras so I can get that cool shot where you can actually see the stitches. Someday. Or maybe it's a good thing you can't see, because I'm actually really doing a terrible job following those purple lines. And I am going fairly slow. But like anything else, it just takes practice, and I am not practiced at it. And the way I like to work, I actually, at this point, I will say I actually prefer just winging it without the purple line, but it's always good to try things. So that's what I'm doing. And that's what I hope you do as well. Experiment, try new things, figure out what you like. Remember, when you like the process and you like the end product, that's it. That's where you strike gold. So this is a Quilter Select marker, and it has an eraser on the other end. So I'm just erasing the purple line. I'm only going to do half the face just to see. Again, this is an experiment. And the thing I haven't said, but the thing I'm doing this time that is hopefully going to give me a different result, is that I am going to wet this fabric and then use the markers and see if that gives me a bit more of a blend. I'm hoping it will. Okay, this looks gross. I could not find my squirt bottle quickly enough, so I just grabbed my dirty watercolor water. Look at that. Look at that. The head, the brush head fell in the water. So okay, I'm going to use a sponge brush. I just want to keep going because I want to find out if this works. And one thing is interesting is that this pen is disappearing with the water. I believe it's supposed to disappear between 7 and 14 hours if you just leave it dry and leave it on the fabric. I think that's what it said, is 7 to 14 hours the purple will disappear by itself, which is a pretty cool tool, I would say. Okay, I think I have it soaked well enough. Now, these are the same colors that I used in the previous one. So let's see what happens. Yes, this is better. Color is still pink, but the blendy part is much better. And by the way, when I was trying to follow those purple lines and do a single stitch, I totally lost track of where I was going, probably because I overlapped, and if I had done it and not overlapped it with other stitches, I probably could have easily traced what I had drawn. But in the end, that kind of thing doesn't bother me, so you have to figure out what works for you. I know you've heard me say it before, but I am not a perfectionist. I like to just wing it and then see what happens and then wing it again. So at this point, the fabric is not quite as juicy wet as it was, so I'm rubbing with my finger, which actually is working pretty well, getting the lines to blend. So here she is wet, and here she is dry, and here they both are together, so you can compare the difference, which is a pretty big difference in my opinion. Well, I hope you enjoyed this experiment. If you give it a try, let me know. Let me know if you want to see more of this kind of thing. I love experimenting. Thank you for being here. See you next time.